Our next speaker is going to solve your problems. So we have someone else from Vancouver, Canada. Is that pretty cool? Like the furthest place away from there to South Africa. And she's a naturopathic doctor, and she is famous in Canada. I'm from Canada, and I met her, and she's been on all the big TV stations talking about one of the most important things for entrepreneur, stress. You're going to make all the money in the world, but if you have stress, stress is a killer. Stress that leads more problems. And what's really, really cool is how many people like to live a stress-free life, but a very, my brother, you going to put your hand up? Pretend you're like me. What do you mean you're looking around? Put your hand up. Thank you. Okay, more stress for you is coming. I have to be honest, the more success, the more stress comes. Not because of what money is, more deals, more opportunities, pressure on family, time, kids, balancing, more deals, more opportunities, more obligations. You understand? And so I wanted someone to help us to become stress-free, because I know stress is often the cause of many disease, right? Everything from like having issues here to having issues here to your health to your immune system, right? And often not, when you like Google yourself, self-diagnose yourself, 80% of the time it's like stress. But the problem is that a lot of people don't know how to handle it. And sometimes people are too pride to say. So I brought someone who is the best at this. No one is better at this than her. And she got all the media. So please give a big welcome, because you're all about to be stress-free and rich, which is a good combination to have. And it's something that no one works on, but is extremely. So please give Manon Bolliger a big round of applause. Give her a big round of applause.
So, hello, South Africa. And I'm thrilled to be in your country. It's been a 36-hour journey. But I'm here, and how do you deal with that? You deal with stress on some level. So by show of hands, how many of you experience stress? Or know people that do? So that's like most of us, right? And do you all know that not all stress is bad stress? Okay, so some stress is good stress. So what I'm going to talk to you about are 4 levels of stress. Okay, so let's talk about the first. Oh, and before I start that, do you know how you can tell by listening to your body where stress is located in your body? No. So did you know that indigestion, bloating, constipation, nervousness, anxiety, sleeplessness, even being in a kind of irritable mood or impatient are all signs of stress, because you're not managing all of your emotions and your thoughts. So let's go through 4 categories. There's mental stress. So a mental stress would be like a deadline. Now, who has deadlines? Okay, all right. So a deadline can be a good stressor. It gives you focus, it gives you motivation, right? But it depends on your situation and your emotions behind it. If you're working for an employer and this next paycheck depends on you not getting fired, you getting this deadline in. Anyone been there? Right? Like, that changes completely how your experience of the deadline is totally different than if you're an entrepreneur and you're giving yourself a challenge that just thrills you. Like me coming to South Africa is a positive stress for me, because I wanted to do this. I wanted to speak. I wanted to see this country. That's a positive stress. Many different hormones are going through my body because of the emotions and the circumstances and how I see things. Now, if we talk about physical stress, so an acute physical stress, for example, could be like exercising. So we know exercise is good. Long-term benefits are great, but it is an acute stress to your body. And what happens with an acute stress is your muscles have to build up again because they actually tear down. That's the nature of it. Now, a chronic stress is pain. Chronic pain, whether you take whatever drugs or painkillers, is what they're called, to camouflage the symptoms, you are still experiencing chronic stress. That has a huge impact on your body. So it's really important to understand the long-term effects of the decisions that you make in how you manage your symptoms, and whether you go deep enough to find out what's actually causing the pain. And the third or the fourth stress I want to talk about is physiological stress. So physiological stress, let me give you an example. One night you decide you're going to stay up late because you're having a nice dinner with friends, and then you decide, you're going to be with your partner and you have some, extravagant sex. Anyone done that? Just making sure you're awake. Okay. So that gives many different hormones, many different stressors go through your body, but it's positive acute physiological stress, right? So all the happy hormones come up. Now, chronic physiological stress would be like sleeplessness, chronic sleeplessness, whether you're suffering from anxiety or anything else. If you have chronic insomnia, that has a long-term toll on your body. I think I've covered that. Oh, yes. And of course, we know that 97% of all diseases are caused by stress. So if 97% or 95 to 97% are caused by stress, there's a way that we can look at health completely differently, which changes your understanding of stress and how you do everything in your life. So I'm going to give you two terms. The first one, diagnosis. It's been misspelt purposefully. Okay, so what is a diagnosis? A diagnosis is the end result of all the symptoms that you've received and accumulated through not paying attention to how you're dealing with life and circumstances, your partner, your job, your children, all of your circumstances. If you're not dealing with it, your body will accumulate symptoms. So a diagnosis is like an end point. It's a label that tells you how things are at the end. And that's why I use the word die, because if you don't actually get to the root of it, you will die with it. You will mask it with pharmaceuticals, but you will die with it. So there wasn't a term for what I really am interested in, so I made it up. I called it health gnosis. And for me, health gnosis is the ability to promote health and to become really aware in the moment of what you're experiencing and what's going on for you. And I came to this awareness because, I was wondering, how much control do we really have in our lives? And that's a question, there's many different philosophical points of view on this. But when I found myself in the oncology ward 20 years ago, I had stage 4 cancer, and so I was not paying attention to anything. The doctors were saying, well, you need to, take out your uterus, right? It's a diseased organ. And I thought for a moment really deeply, and I thought, the cancer is really in the end in my body, but the real cancer is the relationship I was having with myself and with my partner at the time. And the real disease was that I was not doing any self-care. I also believed that I was strong enough. I could do anything. I have 3 children. At that time, they were 1, 9, and 13. And I ran my own business. In fact, I had 3 businesses. So I could do everything. But I did not ask myself, is this loving to me? And so that was my big lesson. So I got through it, and I I looked at stress and I made huge decisions in my life. The root cause is often found in the way we think, our beliefs, attitudes, and our habits. So, as entrepreneurs, we want time freedom, we want money freedom. But wealth is also our health and our choices and how we interact, what we eat, how we look at this planet, how much time we spend in nature, and how we interact, with our loved ones. So my mission here and in the world is to reach out to influencers, to learn methodologies that I've created over all these years, so that we can have healers in every family and healers in every community and workplace, that we can really take charge of our health. And there's so many tools and so many technologies these days that it didn't exist. Like, I have this cool, watch that tells me what my blood pressure is, or, and there's many out there, but, that tells me my ECG, that tells me even my emotions. And, there's so many ways we can start listening to ourselves, taking the time. And the most important thing, I think, is just to, take a moment and really connect to yourself and ask yourself if the next thing you do is loving to you. So that's my message for you, South Africa, and thank you for having me here. Thank you. Thank you.